Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Less than an hour after top 50 national prospect Ivan Taylor flips his commitment from Notre Dame to Michigan, Michigan goes out and lands another top 100 prospect and four-star tight end Andrew Olesh. And this has been a kid that we've talked extensively about over the last couple of weeks. A lot of you guys in the comment section have been banging the table for this kid. I can't say that I blame you. You talk about a difference maker at the tight end position. That's Andrew Olesh. And I kind of look at the tight end spot at the college landscape and say, you kind of have two different types of tight ends. You have the tight ends that are going to be solid pieces in college football offenses. And then you have those difference maker tight ends, those guys that you can feature in an offense and in a passing attack. I think Michigan has one in Colston Loveland heading into 2024. And quite frankly, I think they have one with Andrew Olesh coming into the 2025 class. These type of players, they don't grow on trees. You look at how important the tight end position is in this Michigan offense. This is one of, if not the biggest commitment in Michigan's class in 2025 so far. Fired up to get into the film, talk about what Andrew Olesh brings to the table for this Michigan program. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys, to the Michigan fans. Many of y'all know I'm a massive Michigan fan. There's not a program I love talking about more on the recruiting trail than Michigan, and the amount of support you guys continue to show to the boys, all the Go Blues in the comments section. That stuff means the world. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. It sounds like we got a lot more commitments to break down over the next couple of weeks. And without further ado, let's get into Andrew Olesh. And I want to start with Andrew Olesh just being a matchup nightmare. You look at the 6'4.5", 215-pound frame, no doubt needs to put on some weight as he gets into this Michigan program. We've seen Michigan do that type of thing with tight ends, Colston Loveland probably being the best example. He has a massive catch radius. You talk about tight ends that can command the middle of the field, that can operate in the red zone when those throwing windows kind of get shrunken down. That's Andrew Olesh, right? Not only 6'4.5", he has extremely long arms. I mean, the catch radius and frame that Andrew Olesh brings to the table, that's special number one. You talk about what makes Andrew Olesh truly, at least in my mind, a difference maker at the tight end position is this kid moves like a wide receiver. You dive into the junior year film, he plays wide receiver. He plays wide receiver for a reason. This is a guy that runs a 4.6 in the 40-yard dash, runs a 4.13 in the short shuttle. For comparison, that's faster than Ivan Taylor, who we just talked about as a top 50 national prospect and number 2 safety in the country. The movement skills that Andrew Olesh brings to the table for that size, it's just different. And again, you don't see many players with that size, with that kind of athleticism very often. I think he caps it off with just being a natural pass catcher. I mean, you take a look at the film, there are very few balls that get kind of to his body. He's very, very fluid with the hands. He's got phenomenal body control. You look at the boxes checked for Andrew Olesh. I don't know if there's a box that Andrew Olesh doesn't check besides putting on a little bit of weight. And again, we know Michigan in that weight room is going to put weight plenty on this kid over the next couple of months as he gets into this Michigan program. You dive into the film. And again, I think it starts with just the ability to be a difference maker in the pass catching game, right? You look at Andrew Olesh working as a boundary wide receiver, going to just run right by opposing defensive backs, boundary defensive backs, very fluid track in the football. Again, he moves at just a different level for a kid that's 6'4.5", 215 pounds. You look at what he can do after the catch. Again, what does Colston Loveland do so well? When he gets the ball in space, he is such a bear to bring down for opposing defensive backs. That's what Andrew Olesh is. This is a guy that you can get involved, whether it's working into the flat, sneaking him out into some slip screens. You want to get the football into his hands because he can be a difference maker in terms of yards after the catch. You continue to work through the film. One, this route, just routing up boundary defensive backs. I mean, being able to get in and out of his breaks, create separation, track the ball vertically, just not much that Andrew Olesh cannot bring to this Michigan offense. I think the route running is what's most special. I mean, this is a guy that runs his routes like a wide receiver. I mean, again, running right by defensive backs, commanding the middle of the field. We all know what he can do after the catch. This is probably the most impressive rep we see on the film, where, again, this is a 6'5", 215-pound wide receiver / tight end. the ability to create separation, the ability to get in and out of his breaks, present himself, and then operate after the catch. These are so many boxes that you're checking. One of the things that I would note here is how fluid he is as a pass catcher. I mean, he just doesn't get many footballs getting into his body. He's aggressive with those hands. I'm a massive fan of Andrew Olesh. And I think the one question that a lot of Michigan fans have is, can he get it done as a run blocker? And I think that's a very valid question, right? 6'4.5", 215 pounds. What stands out to me about Andrew Olesh in terms of run blocking, and I think as Michigan fans, we know that if you don't run block, you're not going to play as a tight end for this Michigan program. It is a prerequisite to the position. Colston Loveland has gotten much better over the years as a run blocker himself. I think at the tight end position, it starts with just being willing to be a run blocker. You kind of fire up the film with Andrew Olesh. He's a very willing run blocker. You don't see it a ton because he plays boundary wide receiver at the high school level, but when he wants to become a road grader and physically impose his will on players on the defensive side of football, he can do that. And I think what's special about Andrew Olesh is as you continue to put on weight to his frame, he probably just becomes an even better run blocker. Again, 6'4.5". He's got extremely long arms. He's a guy that comfortably could get up to 235, 240 pounds and kind of maintain a lot of that athleticism. I think the last thing you'll want to note is what Michigan's done in the 2025 class. You look at how Michigan goes about their business on the recruiting trail. I think it largely starts with identifying guys in positions that fit what Michigan wants to do. You take a look back at the last 3 years and ask the question, why has Michigan had so much success over the last 3 years? It starts with the line of scrimmage. You start to scroll down. Where are Michigan's top commitments? It's on the offense and defensive line, right? Nathaniel Marshall, Jalen Williams, Avery Gatch, Bobby Kanka. And then you take a look at a guy like Andrew Olesh. It's no secret that arguably the most important position to this Michigan program on the offensive side of the football is the tight end spot. You lock in one of the best tight ends in the country in Andrew Olesh, and then to cap that off, you got two versatile defensive backs in Ivan Taylor and Keona Winston, who, again, you talk about what Wink Martindale needs to operate his defense. He needs versatile defensive backs that can do a lot of different things. And so what stands out to me the most about Michigan in this 2025 cycle is not only are we getting really, really good football players, we're getting really good football players that fit what Michigan wants to do on both sides of the football. Another massive commitment for Michigan. We'll close it out there. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the fellas. It's going to be a very exciting next couple of weeks and months for Michigan on the recruiting trail. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.